All right, welcome, welcome. Thanks for coming, everyone. My name is Professor Carol. That's what I go by, and welcome to the today's last session for Digital Media Arts Week. We're going to have more great things to talk about in this whole week. I'll show you where there's a schedule at the very end of this presentation. But I just want to say thank you again for attending this one. This is going to be how to search for a digital media art job/internship. I hope to talk to or speak to multiple things when it comes to the realm of digital media arts. Again, this will be recorded, shared with you later. We're kind of creating a website for putting all of this cool stuff on there. And I hope that this can be a good reference for you. If you can do a screen cap, do a screen cap. For now, I have a lot of, I'll say, reference material in this one. So without further ado, what I want to talk about today is really how exciting all of the opportunities are out there for digital media arts. Previously, in our other talks that we had, we talked about the types of careers that are out there for digital media arts, where you can kind of search keywords for those things. In the morning, I did not morning, maybe the afternoon at noon, I did a presentation about um, portfolios and what you can, put in the portfolio. But now we're getting to the point where like now you have a portfolio, now you have a resume, and you have like a package of items that you're gonna go and like start applying to. Maybe you've already kind of like looked at or peeked at different job applications to help you create that portfolio and help you create that resume, right? So you've already kind of done a little bit of research probably, but now you want to be able to more effectively kind of figure out what you're going to do when it comes to a job search. So gather your materials, you have all those things, and now we're going to kind of get into the actual how to job search, maybe what you might want to look out for those job searches. So it doesn't really matter what you are interested in. I will tell you that I've done a lot of job searches, and for me personally, I've done them in animation spaces. I've done them, of course, to get my professor type of job, right? And this is how I went about it. And I think for those of us that you might be really overwhelmed by just prospective job searches, because unlike, going for a college, like there's only like so many colleges, but there's almost like endless job applications out there. And some of them might be good, some of them might be bad. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But hopefully I can give you some strategies on how you can kind of maintain your sanity when you're doing job search processes. I want to let you know also, it's really essential that you remain positive during the entire process. There's nothing personal. So like, say for instance, if you put yourself out there, you send your application out, you don't get anything. I mean, when I exited college myself, I was exiting college during a recession, 2008. You might have heard of that kind of thing. And that was really like tear jerking. I was fresh out of college. They told me, oh, the world is your oyster. And then I couldn't get anything. A lot of the companies that were local to my area shut down. There wasn't a lot of jobs even try and get. But again, we can't lose heart, we can't lose faith, we have to keep going. So we want to make sure that we're not taking anything personally when it comes to our job searches, and also making sure that we are applying in a lot of different areas, if you'd like, and maybe not limiting ourselves to just like very select companies. For instance, I wouldn't just say, all right, I'm gonna just I know Pixar's, in Emeryville. Just gonna put my application for Pixar and I'll wait. I want to make sure that I'm trying big studios, little studios, things that I think may not be related to my field, but have a job posting for me. All of those things I want to keep in mind when I'm doing my job search. So you want to think about things like keywords, the idea of going through certain specialty websites, right? There's lots of different types of job search websites and platforms, and you want to kind of know what those are for your field. And hopefully that narrows down some of the uh, amount of job work, and then hopefully heightens the quality of the jobs that you're going to be seeing. So again, we're going to talk about all of these different types of things when it comes to job searches. So I want to, this is my joke, but I feel like this all the time. I'm like, tis the season for applications. I mean, there are jobs all year round, but I have to say, I find that there are more jobs listing for like creative jobs from the applications like kind of open up November through March. I feel like, of course, there are jobs year round, but like currently right now, I think I saw they're for internships, they're looking for summer interns. They've been looking for summer interns for the last month for Pixar, for instance. And where are they posting that? They're posting that on LinkedIn. They're posting it on Instagram. They're posting it in, and I'm saying they're like the company itself, Pixar as an entity, is posting job applications or internship applications in these spaces. So if you don't have a LinkedIn quite yet, or if you don't follow the companies or any of your favorite companies' social media, I would highly, highly recommend doing that. I feel like I've seen also for Nickelodeon and um, the Cartoon Network certain postings for internships. I'm speaking to animation because that's my field of expertise. But again, it's really, really important that you think about, okay, well, I need to be where the companies are. And you don't even have to, like, if this is not the time for you right now, because maybe you're applying for colleges right now, maybe you're getting things together. Maybe it's just not, your season for applying for things, but at least connect yourself with these companies on their social media because you'll see almost like clockwork, almost like all year round, they'll have different types of postings for jobs as well as call for artists, contests. Some of them will have, which are neither here nor there really. But then they'll also make sure they post their internships, etc. And that's a really great thing to have on your tool belt. If you can't get a job right out of school, maybe while you're in school, make sure you get an internship. And again, there's lots of different methodologies for getting these internships. And then also, some of them will give you, for internships, some of them will give you money. Some of them, most of them will not, to be honest with you. Like most of them, I haven't seen like very many paid internships. But what they will do is work with your college to see if you can get school credit for your internships. So if that's something that is within your degree plan, you can kind of work towards that. Or if you just need to, again, get your foot in the door, that's where internships are really, really amazing. And also will open your eyes to the industry at large. If you like the workplace, if you like the type of field that you want to embark upon, and really get you into it. So again, follow your, I guess, your favorite companies or your target companies on their social media platforms, as well as LinkedIn, so you can get to be the first person to know when those job postings are, as well as those. Um, and when I say job postings, I'm talking about also the postings for internships. And lastly, make sure that your internet presence is professional. So if you're following these people and you have like strange things. It's like your personal stuff that you have on your things. I mean, like you can do that. You can just follow them. But if you're going to interact with the company itself, make sure that you're doing it from one of your social media handles. Maybe make a new one that is going to be professional. So we can just keep it clean, have your portfolio attached. So if they see your name, they go, oh, that's a really great person. I want to work with them. Not, oh, they're really interested in strange memes. So again, you want to make sure that you are kind of understanding that this is not only a time of year, but we're trying to be professional. Make sure you connect with the companies so you can, again, have a really great in for where these jobs are. And the first thing that you might want to do is stay organized. I think um, I'll say this. When I've gone through my job searches in the past, including some of my applications for colleges, it's been really overwhelming figuring out all of the requirements. Each company wants something different. Each person's application wants, whatever level of skill or whatever level of experience. I will say again, if something is asking for X amount of years of experience, that's very well and good. Please do not disqualify yourself from that posting. Just submit your portfolio, please. I think that when people are looking for years of experience, they're just trying to weed out individuals that maybe don't have, um, like a lot of experience. But I think some of us, we forget that we actually do have a lot of experience or we can do the job. So don't think about it like years, think about it as quality of your work. So just apply. Do not worry about you needing 5 years of experience for a job. Just go for it. Because any job that you don't apply for, you do not get, right? So with staying organized, I would say track your job opportunities, figure out a way of creating a spreadsheet. Maybe you make notes in your notes app of the jobs that you're interested in, have applied to, and the status of each application. So for me, what I did was have like a big notes app thing of like, if I find a job application, I'm just going to plug it in. I'm going to put it in my notes app. Okay. And just the link, right? Because I want the link. So when I click back into it, I can go to that job application. But then if you want to go even further, then in your free time, because maybe you don't have enough time to read through each application, maybe you have a little time for yourself, maybe it's about an hour, you can actually go through those little links that you found on the internet and really, really read the actual applications and see which ones you're actually truly interested in and weed out the ones that you do not want to like deal with. Some graphic design roles are literally making sure that you're making PowerPoints for a company. If you do not care for that and you wanted more of the logo branding style graphic design jobs, you want to make sure that, again, you are aligned in what you are looking for as what you want your day-to-day job to be, rather than actually, you know, um, I guess just applying for any old job. You don't want to just apply to every job you see. You also want to then, after you kind of weed out the jobs that you do not care for, and this also, we'll talk about filtering, but you also want to make sure that they're in a location that you can actually get to. You want to make sure that you're looking and seeing any fine print, so they're not fake jobs, etc. You just want to make sure that you're just being cognizant of that. Then you have a column, maybe if you start a spreadsheet of jobs that you're actually going to apply for, then you can have a little like check mark, yes or no. Did I apply for this job? Did I not? Or sometimes you can do something like um, look at, I've seen, um, I've done myself where I said, okay, well, what does each job need? Each job needs maybe a resume, a cover letter. Some of them don't need cover letters. Some of them need some other things. So I just make sure I make like a little note of the materials that I need to apply with, to make sure that I'm organized when I am sitting down applying for jobs. And looking for a job is a full-time job in itself. So again, just give yourself a lot of time. Maybe you just carve out, a couple of hours on the weekend, or maybe, I don't know, between classes, if you want to, you'll be able to go ahead and kind of create a spreadsheet eventually of what you're looking for, what you're going to apply to, have you applied to them, and the status of the application. And with the application status, I mean, is it submitted? Did you get a reply back? Is there no reply? And this actually happens. Like you get literally ghosted by companies all the time. And I just wanted to let you know that you're not alone. You can send a job out there or an application out there and then just not hear anything. What you can also do, if you'd like to, is send a cover letter. What I like to do is send a cover letter to whoever the hiring contact is on that application, and then say, hey, I've applied to this job. Make sure I have the job posting number as well within that document, and then also attach my materials to that email. The reason why I do that is, again, to stand out of the crowd. Because if everybody is applying through these job websites or platforms, you'll find that it's going to go through, that robot algorithm. It's going to look for key terms, and your resume might be thrown out with everything. But if you can actually get in contact with a person that's from that company, sometimes that can increase your chances, or you can at least hear back from somebody. So don't just, if you really feel like you really want this job, you might want to go the extra mile to see if there's a contact to that job application to let them know that you've applied, right? Another thing is, again, with staying organized, is on your desktop, on your, computer, keep a folder with your resume, cover letter, template, right? Keyword here is template, because you don't want to have to like write a fresh letter to each one of these companies, right? So your resume should be more general. And of course, you can go through any career services kind of things to talk about resumes, because resumes for most jobs are the same. But then for us, creatives, we need to make sure that we put our skills and our software on there, right? For cover letters, you want to make sure you have a template going so you can actually easily just sub out the job title, the company, and then you really need to make sure that you're doing that. If you're using a template, do not put, call a company by its wrong name. Don't send a DreamWorks thing to Pixar. You really want to make sure that you're combing through and really making sure that that template is working well. Another thing is you want to make sure that you have your portfolio links quick and easy for access, as well as you want to make sure with your the folder itself, like say for instance, within the folder, within your resume, you want your contact information, you want your portfolio links, everything needs to be like the same on each thing. Maybe your portfolio, again, I talked about this in the morning, or I guess I want to say the morning session, the afternoon session, about portfolios, is you want to also have similar branding throughout all of these things. So if you're using the same fonts throughout, that's great. So everything looks like you, and then you have all of your contact information on every single page of your, well, not every single page of your resume, but on your resume, on the cover letter, and then on the portfolio, your website, because you really, really want to make sure that they don't miss you and they know where to contact you if they want to give you that job. Now, another thing about organization is making sure you have a follow-up system. Just like I said before, when you send that cover letter out or you send an application out, you might want to like hit them up later. You want to say, hey, did you like get my stuff? So what you want to do is make sure that you also have some kind of way of following up to that application. It's something that's not always possible because you may not have the contact information for the person that's posted the job. But again, you might want to, check in and say, hey, I submitted a week ago. I was wondering about the status of my application, just to make sure you can express continued interest for that job role. And then we have networking and seeking guidance. So when we're talking about like looking for different job opportunities, or doing what you're doing now, which is going to events about seeking jobs, right? That's what this is all about. We want to make sure that we're looking and seeking guidance from others and connecting with the greater community, because jobs can come in any form. I mean, I've been offered jobs just randomly over the phone from a person that I met at the movies. I've, I've been offered jobs, at a party that was like a, animation event, right? And it's very interesting. You can also get jobs through these kind of person-to-person means, not just going through job applications. So Again, that's really great. If you have an in or someone that already is working at the company, then that's what it's all about. And that's why I think a lot of people really enjoy the platform LinkedIn, because they can look and find people that they actually know in real life and connect with them. And these are going to be my top, these are my own personal top three job search platforms, but these are also the widely used ones, right? So LinkedIn is a huge job search platform. Indeed is as well. And then also Google Jobs. I'm not quite sure if Indeed and Google Jobs, I feel like they like are merging or something like that happened. I feel like that. But the idea here is you want to be able to, if you can, set up a notification for jobs. And you're thinking, I don't want all these notifications for these jobs. But I will tell you that um, there are so many postings for jobs depending on what you are searching for. Again, you will narrow down your filters by the type of jobs, where they're located, etc. But you can set up alerts that will let you know or give you a daily summary of the postings that are for that day or for that week, depending on which platform you choose here. So for me, I mean, I'm not even looking for a job. I'm just lazy, I guess. I still have like pings for professor jobs that are coming from my phone from these job search platforms. And what do I do? If I see something that's really cool, I'll send it to my friend, right? But I love SJCC, so I'm staying here. But again, you want to make sure that you have that idea of like, okay, LinkedIn, I'm looking for animation jobs, animator. Maybe you might need to look up special skill sets for animation, etc., just to make your search narrower and more specific to what you're looking for as, I guess, a job searcher. And here we go with our filters. So setting filters is, again, you want to make sure that you're not applying to every job. You want to make sure you read the actual job application's responsibilities. They'll outline all of these keywords for you, and you just want to make sure, is this a job that I can do or I want to do? There's going to be a lot of jargon in it, like words that are like, I don't know, very business sounding or something like that. But you want to make sure that you can at least do the bare bones of the skills or the task, or you can read like, oh, okay, if this is a graphic design job and they just want me to make PowerPoints, is that something I really want to do, right? That's something, again, you'll make sure that you read the job and the responsibilities. Maybe you need to check to see a couple other things like here. Is this a gig or is it a job? Some things, and one of the reasons why I don't have Craigslist on my list of widely used job searches is because I feel like Craigslist is a place where you find gigs. And those are those kind of fly by night things. You don't know the efficacy or like how legit the operation is. It's like kind of too unknown. I'll say that. So I would say, see if you can take a look and see uh, whoever is posting, are they legit? Are they like, is there a website that leads to a literal actual website that is professional, etc. And it's not like just an individual that are seeking out someone to draw something for them. Um, with contract versus salary, contract jobs sometimes, most times, don't have benefits. And they also last for only so long. Like so many of my friends that work contract positions, they'll see that it's about 3 months they'll be on, 6 months they'll be on. Maybe it'll be a contract that lasts for a year or so. But again, contract jobs have a designated end time already. So if you're thinking about a job that needs maybe a little bit more or would like to have a little bit more longevity, maybe possibly a little bit more chance of upward mobility, you can go ahead and also try and find a salary style job. And then they'll tell you like if it's actually working at the company versus being a contractor from another company. For instance, when I was working um, at Apple, like Apple retail, right? A lot of my friends would go and say, "Oh, I work for Apple corporate now." It's like, "Oh, really? Oh, wow. That's so great. I'm so happy that you do this." But they were working through a contractor. So it was actually they were working for another company that was asking people to work for Apple in turn, but they weren't actual Apple employees. So, anymore. So again, you want to kind of figure out what's in it for you, what's good. Again, depending on where you are in your life too, can really it could matter whether or not you're seeking out a contract job versus a salary job, et cetera. Or if you think that the contract job is well paid, it's going to get you where you want to go. You can make that leap or transition. You can even ask them if there's a likelihood that you can just stay on. That's again something that can also be asked during the interview. That's the difference between like contract versus salary work. Now, for me, I put how long is the commute? Well, what I used to do, and maybe I still do this, is when I was looking for jobs, now I do it for looking for food joints, but I would go on Google Maps and I would draw a parameter or see a parameter of, I don't know, the map and say, okay, well, this is 30 minutes from my house, this is an hour from my house. That's as far as I'm willing to drive to go to work. So I currently live about an hour from San Jose. So I work at SJCC for this reason of this parameter, right? And again, that's as far as I'm willing to drive. Maybe you don't have access to a car. Maybe you don't have access to public transportation that's going to take you that far, right? So you want to see or think about what your day is going to look like day to day. And that's something that you can also limit your job search for. So when you get these really cool job applications, you see everything coming up in your notifications, you're like, wow, ooh, that looks like a great job. Then you start thinking about the logistics. How can I get there? Am I going to be able to live there? For instance, there's a lot of jobs in Northern California for animation, but they're game companies. If you want to be a part of the television animation industry like Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, you have to be in down south in Burbank, area or Glendale. And again, that's LA. So are you willing to relocate for a job? Is there an expectation that you will relocate for the job as well? And most likely in this day and age, there might be. I think know there's a lot of talk about remote jobs currently, but I still think that they're kind of like the golden, goose or like, golden apple or something. It's something that is a beautiful concept, but can be far away for many of us. There's not as many remote positions or fully remote positions as I think the news or like different websites lead you to believe. So again, just make sure that you're setting your own filters and parameters, and you're thinking about it like, oh, well, if they said I need to come into work, am I okay to hop on BART, be on BART for 45 minutes? Or am I okay to even, like, I didn't even put in this for the filters, but, you know, um, maybe it's an expectation that you work weekends, maybe it's, you look and you see the contract is there for only 3 weeks. Is it worth your time to, to try and take on this job? Who knows? Now, I found this news clip. I wanted to show you all this because I think when we're talking about looking for job searches, I'm just going off of my own experience. I'm not an expert, and I wonder if there's anybody who's a really big expert for looking for jobs. But I did want to warn you all about the idea of fake job postings because they're actually getting more prolific. Like more and more people are posting fake jobs, and this is like a 4-minute news clip about this. So I just wanted to buyer beware. I want you to know about this before you go in and apply to every job you see.
Well, tonight we're exposing a dangerous new frontier for fraud, the online job hunt. And right now, plenty of people are job hunting.
Some slick ID thieves are tricking people. Our consumer investigator, Chris Kimura, joins us now with the warning for all workers, especially tech workers. Chris.
Hiring hoaxes are exploding. Fake job listings pose real danger. So tonight, we're sharing a San Francisco man's close call with a bogus recruiter. We want to help you spot imposter HR people before they claim to hire you just to steal your identity.
If I had signed off on everything, my life would have been ruined.
Diego Martinez was vulnerable, right where scammers wanted him. He was hunting for a new job and under pressure to quickly grab what he could.
Because what had been happening over the course of the few months before with the layoffs and the shakeups in the tech world.
On a job board, he spotted a remote tech role at a company called iSolved. Diego applied, did an interview by text on a messaging website, and then the recruiter said iSolved was hiring him.
I was obviously really excited.
Diego had shared some personal info on his application. Well, now the recruiter wanted more. His bank account number for direct deposit of his paycheck and a copy of his driver's license. Plus, they told him to buy a phone for iSolved Business. Here's the hitch.
It was a fake iSolved website, and they made it look nearly identical to our own site.
Amy Mosher oversees HR and recruiting at the real iSolved.
It is an actual company, yes.
Diego was dealing with an HR impersonator. Mosher says he's not alone falling for a lookalike.
This happens very, very often, more often than certainly most people realize.
94,000 people reported business and job scams to the Federal Trade Commission last year. The cons cost people $367 million, and it's trending upward. Crooks stole 76% more money in 2022 than 2021. The FTC says scammers target people who want to work from home. That means higher risk for tech workers. So how do you protect yourself?
I would say do your homework.
Amber Clayton is with the country's big HR association. She and Mosher recommend a few extra steps before you hand over any info to an online recruiter. First, do a Google search for the company name. See if the website the recruiter shared matches the authentic one. If not, beware. Be leery of recruiters who tell you to buy a phone or laptop from them before you start a new job.
I would be cautious about purchasing any equipment.
It's likely just a ploy to steal money from you. Two more things. Make sure the recruiter's email address matches the real company website. Figure out if they are who they say they are.
Never give your sensitive information to anyone who you can't validate their identity.
And finally, insist on speaking to the recruiter and future teammates, ideally by video or in person. Diego only interviewed by text. Clayton saw trouble.
If they're only doing a text interview and nothing more, I would say that's definitely a red flag for a job scam.
I felt embarrassed.
So what happened with Diego? Well, he never shared his bank info, thanks to some savvy friends who smelled a rat. They encouraged him to ask the recruiter some questions. He did. Here's what he said first.
I just don't want to be scammed. And as soon as I said the word scammed, there was radio silence for like 2 seconds, and they hung up the phone.
Diego's glad he wised up and shut down the scam. He recommends all job seekers ask recruiters questions and demand answers.
Everyone needs to be more aware, no matter how experienced you are looking for jobs.
We recommended Diego lock down his credit reports just in case the scammers got any sensitive info from his application and interview. For its part, iSolved says it shut down the lookalike site and is buying up similar web addresses to prevent other imposters. If you spot a scam, tell the Federal Trade Commission. Snap this QR code to open an official complaint at reportfraud.ftc.gov.
All right. So I'm not trying to put that out there to scare you. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is really scary, but there's a lot of stuff that you have to do, right? Like, so when you are putting in your job application, you're going to be able to put in at least minimal information, right? Like maybe you might put in your email address, maybe you'll put in your, I don't think you'll even have to put your physical address usually, but then you have your phone number. You need to be able to be contacted, right? So even with just that little bit of information, people might kind of want to prey upon you for that. Another thing that you might want to look out for is like, it is kind of reasonable for if you do get a job, if you get through the interview process, that they are going to ask you for a lot of personal information, right? Like your social security number and all that kind of stuff. And that's something that, again, happens after an interview. But I think what was very interesting to me during this presentation with the scam was that it was just a text interview. And then they're like, you're hired. And they're like, congratulations. So you want to make sure, again, that you can meet people from that. I've had experience going through a virtual interview like this, like we're on Zoom. Also, I've done interviews in person as well. So again, you will find that usually you'll get a face-to-face time with somebody before getting to that result where they're going to ask you, oh yes, you're hired, or anything else like that. So again, that's not to scare you, but I want you to be vigilant, especially because even on the biggest websites, they can't really weed out all of these types of fake jobs.
Well,
Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about freelance. I know that's a little bit different, but you can also get scammed via freelance. But I want to talk about freelance because I know that I have a few students that over my time teaching was like, oh, I was like, what's your goal? What do you want to be? And they're like, I want to be a freelancer. And I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. And I don't want to discourage people from wanting to freelance, but I want to highlight some things about freelancing that can be difficult. So I would say, don't try and make this like your full-time job unless you can navigate freelancing quite well. And if you've freelanced before, I bet you can attest to this as well, that you need to be sure of or understand some of the, I guess, difficulties that freelancing can have. So uh, the first thing is there's different types of websites that you can use to see if you can gain freelance clients, but most times you'll find them on those gig websites like Craigslist, or there's lots of things like Fiverr, etc. But you'll be looking for people and you'll be interacting with just people that need something usually pretty quickly done, and they're probably, I'm not sure, but probably looking for a deal. And these are going to be short-term contracts that you have to create, and you have to do all of the, I'll say, business infrastructure around it. So you want to make sure that you can understand where that might come from. Maybe it's good from time to time to do, but it just depends on, again, if you can build a good clientele for yourself. So the first thing I was gonna just go through the bullet points here, that freelancing is kind of a fluctuating income. I'm not saying that when you're working in a contract way that your income doesn't fluctuate either, but you may not have a steady stream of clients if you're freelancing. Also, you'll have to worry about self-employment taxes. So you need to make sure that you are paying your taxes or saving up money for your taxes, because unlike traditional jobs that take out a certain amount and hold it for your taxes, for tax season like now, you'll have to actually remember to save your money for that tax day whenever that comes. So again, you'll just need to make sure that you're on top of understanding tax law for self-employed people. And then finding clients. You've got to be able to find a client base. So if you're fresh from school and all you have are your friends that you know, that might be a little bit tough. You want to make sure that you go out and network, try and find new clientele. You might need to do a lot of, I guess, business style searching and advertising for yourself online at that point. And you won't be alone because there's quite a lot of competition out there, especially on these types of freelancing websites. And again, it's going to be unpredictable type of work that you'll get, because sometimes people will expect more out of you. Sometimes the people expect different things, and that can kind of disrupt your work-life balance, where you'll find yourself working all the time, doing a really huge project, but then you won't, depending on your own price points that you will have to set, maybe it's not so lucrative at the end of the day. So again, you want to make sure that you understand your own workload and you can advocate for yourself. Speaking of advocating for yourself, I like this idea of scope creep. Sometimes clients will come to you and they'll want to change requirements or expectations for a project. They want more from you. You said, I'm just going to make a logo for you. It's going to cost $200. Like, great. Okay, cool. And then he goes, oh, but can you just do one more thing to it? Can you do this other thing? And then it becomes like a larger job. It becomes longer, but they're going to still try and pay you only the $200. That's eating up all your time, and time is money. Time is getting another client, right? So you want to make sure that people aren't taking advantage of you. And you want to make sure that you have really good communication as to the milestones of your project, the expectations, and when you are not going to change anything, no more changes to whatever you are going to give them. Also, I would say, adding to that is when you're showing them process work, try and watermark your images, try to not give them full quality images, because what people have done in the past is take your half finished drawing and then they'll say thanks and they'll complete it on their own. I actually saw a YouTube video about an artist that showed them a sketch, and then the person took their sketch, put it through an AI generator to finish the full drawing. And they didn't pay her as a result of that. And again, what could be stopped? Don't give them the highest quality image, watermark it, make it so they can only open it in a certain way. All that kind of thing can happen. So again, you just want to make sure that you can keep those clients under control. Also, legal issues, making sure that you understand creating contracts to the extent of knowing what is your intellectual property, making sure that there's clarity on who actually owns the image, if you're going to get credit or not, etc. The other thing that can happen here is if you create one image and you say, all right, I'm going to make you an image for a water cup. And here's that, it's going to be just for the water cup. And then that client takes the image that's for the water cup and puts it on a t-shirt, puts it on a billboard, puts it on everything. And then those are things that you could possibly charge more for. So they are kind of taking that same, the usability of that one water cup image, they're putting it everywhere, which is again, not what the image was intended for. That's something that can cause legal issues, especially if they're using it for advertising or beyond the scope of what the project was for. So again, don't want to be negative Nancy on freelancing, but I just wanted to make it, probably be real about your choices. If you choose to freelance, it might be a really great way of kind of building a portfolio or getting into or putting your toe into an industry, seeing if you actually like the type of work. So I don't want to discourage you completely, but just know, again, freelancing is its own can of apples or can of worms, if you will. You want to make sure that you understand there's so many different things or nuances. It's not just like I email someone and they say, hey, can you make this drawing for me? And then they go, I say yes, and then I make it and then I get paid. It's a little bit more complex than that, especially if you want to cover yourself as an artist. Make sure you protect yourself. Now, beyond Indeed, Google Jobs, and some other places, and I'll get through these slides quite quickly, to be honest with you. We'll be sharing these out again, but there's also specialty websites and job boards for each and every one of your disciplines and areas of expertise. For instance, overall digital media art, we have ArtStation, Behance Jobs, and Creative Pool. Those are like kind of the bigger ones. For motion graphics, we have Motion Graphicer Jobs, the Mandy Network, and Production Hub. These are places where you can search for jobs, but when you are searching there, you'll see that sometimes there's portfolio platforms for them there. So if you, like, for instance, ArtStation is a place where you can put all of your stuff online and like your portfolio, and use that as a portfolio website if you'd like, but then also apply for jobs through ArtStation. Similarly, for any of these, like Behance as well, sometimes they have places where you can actually have a portfolio through this website. And a lot of times people will, it's kind of an industry thing. People will just get people from these websites. They won't post in other places like, Google Jobs or LinkedIn. But again, I would just check out, these are different websites and specialty job boards for Animation Guild Job Hotline. I don't know if this is still enacted, but that's what I use. I wonder if it's still a hotline. Like literally when I was in school, I called the Animation Guild Job Hotline and I waited until like they read off like who's doing internships. So I think this is probably digitized by now, but again, you'll be able to go ahead and look through and see different types of jobs that exist. For animation, you can see through graphic design, UI, UX, digital illustration. Each one of these different fields have their own job boards. And then I have kind of some kind of overarching ones as well for digital media, digital imaging and technology. Now, what you might want to also screenshot, clue in, are search keywords. So say, for instance, you're a motion graphics artist, on your resume, you should have keywords, or when you're searching for jobs, you should understand that not all motion graphics artists will be the same listing. For instance, I was saying the idea of my graphic designer job being an actual PowerPoint job, but they're not going to put PowerPointer as the job title. They're going to call it, graphic design, right? So job titles can actually go through and morph through different, I guess, different titles, but they all can mean the same thing. For instance, I'm a professor, I'm an instructor, I'm a teacher. So if I was looking for jobs, I would make sure that I had that all in one. Or instead of digital media is also called multimedia. It's also called digital arts, right? So there's just more than one way to search for these things. So here's some phrases for motion graphics, or things that can include motion graphics, like visual effects artist, multimedia animator, video content creator. And then you can see how that is actually kind of showing up in the job searches. So I'll go through these again rather quickly. These will be shared out along with this recording as well. So motion graphics for animation, these are multiple different types of things, but 2D animator, 3D animator, character animator, storyboard artist, technical animator, motion capture animator. These are also different types of roles that do exist. But again, read the fine print on the resume, or I'm sorry, the job application. And also, when you're applying to things, if you have to put keywords, the keywords will make you more marketable too. So if you are marketing yourself as a 2D animator / character animator, maybe you'll be able to get more hits or more views to your profile. So again, maybe the creative director is a little bit upper tier. That's kind of like art director for some people. And layout artist also can be an animation job. So because there's two different ways of thinking about layout. So again, just make sure you're reading the applications. And then we have, UX, UI, UX design. And then we're into marketable skills. So again, I'm sharing these out. I don't want you to like write down everything or try and jot down anything from this. But what I wanted to highlight from these sections are when you have a resume or when you are looking at keywords that are going to be happening in searches, these are kind of the things that are going to kind of pop up. These are jargon and things that you might want to inject into your resume or inject as keywords to help you search for a job as well. So we have, underneath digital media art, multimedia storytelling, that makes sense. Motion graphics also has different types of things like kinetic typography is a huge kind of thing that you can also make sure that you can say, hey, I do kinetic type. I do branding animations. I do other motion graphics portfolio work. And then we have within animation, we have our graphic design as well. All of these are just marketable skills that you might have. You might already have it already. For instance, graphic design, underneath that is visual branding and identity. That's most likely a project that you've done, right? Or you might want to see, like, if you say print and digital layout design, that sounds like a InDesign type of job, like you're doing book work, you're doing print work, right? So you'll see that this will also kind of pop up in different searches. So if you have the ability to even do a finer level search. You can try and put in any of these skills in as well. Storyboarding means something different in UI UX design than animation. There's two different types of storyboarding, but they're all called storyboarding. So just again, make sure you read the description. And then of course we have like even things like comic book art, which is a marketable skill for digital illustration as well. But yeah, oops, I think I have this slide twice. Sorry about that. Digital imaging, also, this is going to be like your Photoshop retouching, etc., those type of jobs. Now, for software tools, these are things that you might need to know for software. Again, we want to make sure that you have marketable skills as well as you can say, I can speak to the tools that I need for the job. So for digital media art, I mean, for all of these, probably Adobe Creative Cloud Suite. You could just put that right on your resume right now. And then you can see there's probably different ways you want to go. There's Blender, that's the free, almost like, I'll say Maya Lite, Autodesk Maya Lite. And that's for creating 3D as well as 2D animations. Then you have all of the motion graphics softwares. So if you're really, really trying to get into that industry, most likely you might want to pick up at least one or two of these softwares to show that this is, what you do. Let me continue. Another thing is like you'll find that people will take a software title and then make it a job. So it'll say like Cinema 4D artist, or it'll be, Pixel 2D artist. So that's again another way of, I don't know, but that's why I wanted to give you all of these kind of search terms, if you'd like, that you can see what is expected of you when you are applying for these jobs. But you might see that there's some titles that kind of sneak in as well, like this affinity designer. I've seen just affinity designer, which is what the software is called, but also as a job posting. And then also, I want to also give a shout out to Canva and GIMP being in the graphic design side. If you have, it's free. Some of this stuff is free and rather easy to use, but that's what they're looking for. Some people are looking for someone who will just seriously just make a bunch of Canva things for their ads, and their advertising. And that could be just fine with graphic design. So maybe you don't, I'm not saying you don't need to know the Adobe Creative Suite, but you might also want to consider picking up I'll say, maybe more user-friendly software because what Canva does that maybe Adobe Creative Cloud Suite doesn't do is it can be used for more social media with templates, etc., right? And since it's very easy for the end user, I think a lot of companies are also using that to kind of create content for themselves very fast. And I'll just go ahead and I'll continue, but I think you get my drift here with the software tools. So with networking, again, we want to make sure that you're not just limited to the job search on your computer, but you can network, in person if you want. Join professional groups, join great platforms like, LinkedIn will have these, but also LinkedIn has like these affinity groups, like maybe it's like, a women in animation or something like that. Make sure that you can be a part of there, and they even have social networking. So say for instance, I think I follow women in animation also on Instagram, and they post when they have more mentorships, etc. So you don't have to be a woman to be a part of these types of groups, right? Or you don't have to be a part of that demographic to be a part of those groups. But you just want to make sure, again, that you're thinking about where can I find other artists, network with them, and they might like you, and they go, oh, you know what? There's a job available for, let me get your information. I'm gonna send you the link to this job posting, because a lot of job postings are internal before they become public. So you'll see that there's maybe some job postings that make it to LinkedIn or make it to Google Jobs, but those jobs are already spoken for. And that's another reason why you shouldn't feel discouraged in your job search. If you are feeling like, oh, no, no one's giving me any time, um, you want to, of course you can reflect and make sure your portfolio and everything is perfect, right? But sometimes even when you have the most perfect portfolio, you're the right person for the job, etc., the job has already been promised to someone else. And there's no way of us knowing it. It feels super unfair, but that's just what it is. And because it's what it is, we all have to deal with it. So, just don't take it personally. And it's okay. We can just continue. And I know that you'll get the job that is the right job for you when it comes for you, right? You might want to consider having a business card, whether it be printed or digital. LinkedIn also has easy ways to connect in the way of that business card. They have like these virtual QR code type of business cards that I've seen people use more prolifically. For professional organizations, as I said, you can make sure that you have a line out thinking about joining some different organizations that have networking opportunities, mentorship, and support. They can help you craft a resume. They can help you with portfolios. A lot of these events are virtual nowadays, which is really great. But also there's some things that are in person where it allows for you to go and meet people in person. And then sometimes you get to go and like tour places that you never would have access to. It's very cool. So again, I would say make sure you join professional organizations as well. I have a very few, like a tiny minuscule list of some things that you'll see that do exist as far as different organizations. Like I said, Women in Animation, there's San Francisco chapter, there's an Editors Guild for Bay Area independent editors. There's, different things like let me look around here, Latino Filmmakers Network, Queer Design Club, and these are places where you'll find other designers, and sometimes there's job postings there too. So that's even better. It's great. And then here's some more. Latinx and gaming, making sure that again you are, in the thing, you're in the know, you're with the crowd. So I don't want to go past our time, so I'll wrap things up. I hope that this helped a little bit with navigating how you find jobs. Again, use those same old job websites. You might even want to open up a Google, Maps window, and like I said, and then type in the type of job the type of job we're looking for, like animation studio or something like that, and then just have it search an area if you want to figure out how long your commute will be. Right? Look for big, small, medium-sized companies and don't limit yourself to just creative companies. Places like Dropbox, Facebook, General Motors. I don't know, I'm thinking up stuff. But all of those places, think about just the lamest stuff in your house. Those places have websites, and that is pretty amazing. They have graphic designers, they have people working and animating for them. So don't forget about those as well. And then make sure that you're finding good keywords, using those in your job search, and staying current with industry software so you can remain competitive. And then also make sure that you are leveraging those job search platforms for like those networking, those like in the know websites as well. And then connect with those professional organizations. Please make sure you stay organized. It doesn't have to be perfect. So like, do not just like give up if you like didn't log correctly, if you've received a call back or not from an organization, or you're like, oh, I don't know if I sent the email, I forgot, that kind of thing. It's okay. Just try your best and really try and create that positive mindset so you can continue to look for jobs. It can be sometimes a little depressing. It might feel a little depressing, but I think if you kind of look at it in the point where you're like, hey, I'm just going to do this thing. It's not a big deal. I'm just going to apply for this job. Then if you keep it kind of like chill, then it doesn't feel like as daunting as a process. It doesn't feel like you're being super rejected or anything. You're like, well, I'm gonna get, I mean, you know what? I'm gonna just apply for 5 more jobs next week. No big deal. Because there's always gonna be more. So don't even think about it like, oh, this is it. I've been rejected 15 bazillion times. Do not calculate it. Do not log that. But focus on the positive in that you're gonna get something one of these days. But you just have to keep at it. You have to keep trying. And also remember to also hang out with, you know, your professors, your mentors, find a mentor, and get feedback on your package that you're sending out from time to time, just to make sure that you're sending out some good stuff and it's not full of typos or anything. Okay. But yeah, thanks for everything. I hope that you have good luck in your job search tomorrow and the rest of the week. We have so many different digital media arts um, like workshops, events. You can use the QR code below, or you go to that website number right there, and you'll see that we have, again, lots of cool stuff. And tomorrow, Bridgegood is coming. Bridgegood is a company that a lot of us have gotten internships through. Like, I mean, when I say us, like, you know, SJCC students have gotten internships through, or apprenticeships, I should say, as well as they have a contest that is Inspire Oakland that happens every year. And so we'll talk about career opportunities tomorrow, as well as we have industry professional Sergio Skies from Insomniac Games that's coming to talk about acing interviews. And finally, just for fun, if you want to be on the cutting edge, we're going to be showing the Computer Animation Festival from SIGGRAPH, which is the qualifier for the Academy, like, you know, the Academy Awards Academy, all of their short films for animation. So that is what I wanted to say. Thank you so much for sticking with me, and I hope that you have a wonderful evening. If you have a question for me, chat at me. I'll be on for maybe another few minutes. And thanks so much. Thanks for coming by.